Oh man, them Khazars owe us reparations too. I'll be reading from a book called Jews and Judaism in the United States, a documentary history by Mark Lee Raphael. But first off, I'd like to get into some reparations that were given to the Khazars. It says, what are Holocaust restitution payments? Holocaust restitution payments are paid primarily by the governments of Germany and Austria to partly compensate victims of Nazi Germany and its allies. In addition to claims for persecution, restitution is also made to compensate for lost housing, destroyed businesses, and liquidated bank accounts. Since 1952, more than $70 billion has been paid to more than 800,000 victims of the Holocaust. How much money does the U.S. give to the Khazars? In 2020, the U.S. gave $3.8 billion in aid to Israel, part of a long-term yearly commitment made under the Obama administration, your favorite president. Almost all of this aid was for military assistance. This support came as part of an agreement signed by former President Barack Obama in 2016 for an overall package of $38 billion in military aid over the decade 2017 to 2028. This represents an increase of about 6% adjusted for inflation over the spending commitment for the previous decades. So we've been paying them with our tax dollars as Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, victims of the transatlantic slave trade and the colonization and Spanish Inquisition. And we don't get paid a damn thing. That brings me back to this book on page 14. It says Jews from Holland, for example, entered the sugar plantation business in Brazil, taxed farmers, planters, mill owners, and sugar brokers, Suriname planters, and Curaçao planters and merchants. It says Jews also took an active part in the Dutch colonial slave trade. Indeed, the bylaws of the Recife and Mauricia Congregation 1648 included an imposte, Jewish tax, of 5 soldos for each Negro slave a Brazilian Jew purchased from the West Indies Company. Slave auctions were postponed if they fell on a Jewish holiday. In Curaçao in the 17th century, as well in the British colonies of Barbados and Jamaica in the 18th century, Jewish merchants played a major role in the slave trade. In fact, all the American colonies, whether French, Martinique, British, or Dutch, Jewish merchants frequently dominated. This was no less true in the North American mainland, where during the 18th century, Jews participated in the triangular trade. That brought slaves from Africa to the West Indies and there exchanged them for molasses, which in turn was taken to New England and converted into rum for sale in Africa. Isaac da Costa of Charleston in the 1750s, David Franks of Philadelphia in the 1760s, and Aaron Lopez of Newport in the late 1760s and early 1770s dominated the Jewish slave trading on the American continent.